Welcome to Recaply X, your movie recap in a flash. We bring the drama, the action, and the twists in minutes. This is the second season of Squid Game. After the events of the first season, the story continues with new developments. After one player won the game and gained all the wealth, he realized that his friends had sacrificed many people. He won the game and had a lot of money, but he refused to use it because he felt guilty. He decided to expose the game's organizers and stop them from what they were doing, making them pay for the deaths of the victims. Instead of traveling to America to enjoy the money, he cancelled the trip and returned from the airport. Suddenly, he received a warning from the game master, threatening him not to take any action against them. This shocked Gi-hun, but he realized he was being watched. Yet he wasn't afraid. He vowed to challenge the game and stop it once and for all. He took a taxi and left the airport. When he arrived in his city, the first thing he did was go to the bathroom. He searched his clothes and body, suspecting he was being tracked. Indeed, his suspicions were confirmed when he discovered a tracking device implanted in him. He decided to get rid of it. At the same time, Jun-ho, the undercover officer who infiltrated the game to find his brother, was revealed to have survived. The shocking twist was that his brother was the masked man running the entire game. Unfortunately, his brother had shot him, but luckily, he fell into the water and survived. He had been in a coma, but has now awakened. His mother was overwhelmed with emotion upon seeing him. 2 years passed since that day. We see Jun-ho working as a security officer. He decided to change his identity. He stops a young man speeding on a motorcycle without wearing a helmet. The young man's girlfriend is charmed by Jun-ho's looks, flirting with him and trying to take a selfie together. Jun-ho ignores her because he is emotionally detached. This makes the young man jealous and he speeds off, leaving his girlfriend behind. She yells at him, but he dismisses her. Jun-ho laughs at the situation. Later, he meets with his former boss, asking to return to his previous department. He tells him he has done everything requested, searching for the island where the games take place, and for anyone involved in the games. But they found no trace, and his phone, which had evidence, had fallen into the sea. The only evidence left is the bullet in his shoulder. His boss asks if he remembers who shot him. Jun-ho knows it was his brother, but he lies, saying he doesn't know. At night, Gi-hun is hiding in a hotel when he hears a knock at the door. When he checks, he finds a game card on the ground. He opens the door quickly, expecting the masked man, but it turns out to be a nightmare. He wakes up startled, realizing it was just a dream. But then, the doorbell rings again. He fears the dream might come true. When he opens the door, it's his assistant who has come to talk to him. We learn that Gi-hun has decided to use all the money he has to track down the game's organizers. He asks his assistant to find the man in the suit who hands out game invitations in the subway. The assistant says he's been searching for 2 years in all subway stations without success. He advises Gi-hun to give up, but Gi-hun refuses, determined to find the truth. Knowing the games are about to start again, he hands his assistant a bag full of money, urging him to search every subway station. Meanwhile, we discover the assistant is actually the leader of a gang. He's searching for the man in the suit because people who owed him money disappeared, suspected to have joined the Squid Game. He orders his men to search for the suited man everywhere. He shows them a statue resembling the man so they can recognize him. The gang splits into groups, each searching a different subway station, motivated by a $500,000 reward for finding him. Elsewhere, Officer Jun-ho is still investigating the Squid Game. He visits a ship captain who saved him from the sea. The captain helps him search for the island where the games are conducted, but they haven't found it yet despite many attempts. Days pass as everyone continues their search. The gang members begin to lose hope, thinking Gi-hun is wasting his money. Suddenly, they hear someone playing cards in front of them. They focus and realize it's the same suitcase, money, and card game they've been searching for. They immediately take pictures and send them to Gi-hun, who is shocked and can't believe they've finally found him. Gi-hun instructs them to follow the man, saying he's on his way. He drives quickly to catch up with them. The gang follows the man discreetly as he buys some bread and lottery tickets. He then goes to a deserted area and starts talking to homeless people, offering them a choice between a piece of bread and a lottery card. The homeless people choose the card, hoping to win money and change their lives. But none of them win anything. Afterward, the man throws the food on the ground angering the homeless people. One of them asks why he's doing this, and the man replies that they all chose the game and rejected the food. He says they are the ones who discarded it, not him. The gang leader is shocked by the man's behavior, thinking he's crazy. They take more pictures and send them to Gi-hun. Meanwhile, Gi-hun is driving to meet them, but he's stopped by traffic police for speeding. The officer finds him, but Gi-hun quickly pays and rushes off, and we discover that he was standing with Huang. He tells him that the driver had many phones, and Huang becomes suspicious of what he hears and takes his license. He is surprised when he sees the name Jahoon. That name, he had read it before in the Squid Game files. He goes back and searches for the name, and the picture appears. He confirms that it is the same person who had asked for his help before. He searches for the places he resides and finds out the name of the hotel he is staying in. We then move to the man in the suit, who gets out of the taxi and enters a deserted street. The gang leader fears he will escape from them and decides to apprehend him. His assistant is scared, but the leader encourages him, saying, "Come on, there are two of us, and only one of him. Besides, we are a gang, and he's wearing a suit. He looks like a respectable man who doesn't get into trouble. For sure he's a weakling and will come with us easily." They approach him, but they are surprised by the ninja. Despite the young man being handsome, he is clumsy in a fight. Within seconds, he defeats the leader, knocking him to the ground. He then attacks his assistant with the bag, hitting him and breaking his jaw. Afterward, Jahoon arrives at the location where they are. He tries to contact them, but they don't answer. He keeps searching for them and eventually finds the gang leader's knife. He realizes that the man in the suit must have kidnapped them, and indeed, he is correct. We see them tied up in an abandoned place, seemingly on the verge of death. The man in the suit removes the blindfolds from their eyes and plays music to interrogate them. He approaches them and says, "The first thing we need to do is play a fun little game as a greeting from me to you. Otherwise, we won't talk. You will play rock, paper, scissors. We'll load one bullet into the gun and spin the chamber. Then it's up to your luck. Whoever loses will face the consequences." He holds the gun and asks them to play. Whoever refuses to play will be considered a loser and will be punished. Both are terrified. They realize he is dangerous and insane, but he laughs and starts the game. The leader participates, but his assistant is too scared to play. The man in the suit becomes angry and says, "This is against the rules, which means you've lost." He fires the gun for the first time, but luckily, nothing happens. They start a new round, and this time they keep playing back and forth. The game drags on, and he grows bored. "All right, let's reduce the odds. This time we'll load 5 bullets, leaving a 1 in 6 chance of survival." Both of them are terrified and crying, but they are forced to participate because each one fears for his life. They keep playing, and every time it ends in a tie, until they reach the final round. In the last round, the leader decides to lose on purpose to give his assistant a chance to continue in his place. The man in the suit follows through and eliminates him. He congratulates the assistant, saying he has won, and starts talking to him. He learns all the information from him, including that Jahoon was the one who planned with them. When Jahoon returns to his hotel, he immediately realizes someone is there. He enters and finds the man in the suit waiting for him. The man says, "What are you doing here? I heard you were looking for me, so I decided to come to you myself. You've turned the whole city upside down." Jahoon informs him that he isn't afraid of him and is determined to do whatever it takes to stop the game. The man in the suit says, "Are you crazy? Do you think this is easy? The first time I joined them, I was happy with what I was doing, eliminating the losers. Years passed, and one day, someone appeared before me. I started to feel like I knew him. Eventually, I discovered who he was. It turned out to be my father. I decided to continue as usual and got rid of him. That's when I realized this place was right for me. Even the game rewarded me one day with a gun and a suit." Jahoon responds, "You're insane. To them, you're just a hunting dog. You're required to follow their orders, and if you ever think of disobeying, they'll get rid of you." The man in the suit replies, "Why would I disobey them? I told you, I'm happy with what I'm doing, and you're no different from me. You were once a dog like me, poor and broke, but you won. I have a gift for you in my pocket. But first, we have to play a game. If you win, you'll get it. It's simple and easy. We'll load the same bullet, spin the chamber, but this time we won't spin it again. It's one turn for you and one turn for me until we see where it ends. Jahoon agrees because he wants to contact the game leaders in any way to stop them. The man spins the gun, and it lands on Jahoon. The first round passes safely. Then it's the man's turn, and he tries it as well. It passes safely. The second, third, and fourth rounds all pass safely. On the fifth round, it's Jahoon's turn again. Only 2 chances remain. Who will it be? Jahoon hesitates and is scared, but decides to try. But it passes safely. Now we know the result. The man in the suit says, "By the way, I'm happy with what I'm doing." He realizes he has lost, and suddenly, boom, a shot rings out, and he's gone. Later, Officer Huang arrives at the location where Jahoon is standing outside. Suddenly, he hears the sound of gunfire. He rushes in, but the place is a hotel filled with rooms. He hears a noise and enters one of the rooms, finding the gang leader's assistant tied up and crying. The assistant pleads, "Please, don't kill me." Huang asks him where Jahoon is, and the assistant, scared, gives him the room number. When Huang enters, he finds Jahoon standing next to the man in the suit. He assumes Jahoon is responsible and decides to arrest him, handcuffing him. But suddenly, the gang leader's assistant comes from behind and hits Huang on the head. He tells Jahoon, "I worked with the leader and was looking for the man in the suit on the subway. I even sent you his picture." Jahoon feels reassured because it's the first time he's seen him. He cries and learns that the leader is dead and that the man in the suit was the one who killed him. The assistant tells him everything that happened. Jahoon feels guilty because he believes he is the reason for what happened to the leader. He decides to avenge him. He takes the game card from the man in the suit and goes to speak with Huang, recalling that he had helped him before. Huang, however, remembers that he participated in the game to search for his brother. He reflects on how Jahoon had helped him before. Jahoon believes him and tells him what happened to him, insisting he didn't do anything to the man in the suit and that it was all just a game he lost. Jahoon reveals that he wants to find the masked game director to stop the game. He asks Huang if he knows him, but Huang is shocked and refuses to tell him. Huang asks Jahoon to untie him so he can help. Jahoon hesitates, unsure if he can trust him, and refuses, deciding to handle it alone. But before he leaves, Huang says, "I've seen a lot about the island, and I can help you." Jahoon realizes he might benefit from Huang's knowledge and reluctantly decides to cooperate with him. He unties him, and they take the gang leader's assistant. They go to the place where Jahoon has hidden his money. They are surprised when they see it, confirming his story and realizing he did win the game. Jahoon tells them he doesn't want the money and promises to give them whatever they want if they help him stop the game. But the officer tells him his goal isn't the money. The gang leader's assistant looks at Jahoon and says, "Neither do I just want revenge for my leader." Jahoon takes them along to a secret underground location where all kinds of weapons and bombs are stored. He demonstrates the weapons in front of them and asks them to train on them to be ready for what they will do. The room is soundproof, and no one can reach them. He leaves them and goes to the street where he used to live. He sees his neighbor, the mother of his close friend, who participated with him in the game and died. He is surprised to find that the orphaned child, whom the state raised, has grown up and entered school. He learns that she considers him a substitute for her deceased son. He feels emotional and nostalgic for her because she was like his mother who passed away, but he refuses to visit her to avoid putting her in danger. At this time, we see a woman named Cyan, who goes to a detective, asking him to search for her missing mother. We learn that her mother participated in the Squid Game and unfortunately died. The detective tells her he searched everywhere and found no trace of her, but Cyan refuses to give up. She gives him all the money she has and asks him to search again before leaving. She goes to her workplace, where we see her wearing a suit and giving gifts to children. She visits a poor and simple girl and gives her gifts. The girl is overjoyed. When Cyan goes to rest, the girl comes to her with a drawing of the two of them together. At that moment, her father enters, takes her, and leaves. We learn that her father is actually an artist working with them. His daughter is sick, and he works to support her. His daughter falls ill, and he takes her to the hospital. The doctor tells him there is only chance. He must secure the money for the operation to save her life. He assures the doctor he will do everything he can and not to worry about the money. We return to Sion, who is sleeping in her car. someone comes and knocks on her window, giving her a card before leaving. It seems she will participate in the squid game. We switch to the officer, Huang, who is eating with his mother. Someone comes and knocks on their door, giving them a card before leaving. It seems they will also participate in the squid game. We see Huang reassuring his mother that he will find his missing brother soon. She tells him she feels her son no longer wants her in his life. He responds, "Don't say that. I will find him and bring him back soon." At this time, we see Gi-hun planting a tracking device in his tooth to locate him when he participates in the game. He starts making plans and prepares a group of people. The leader's assistant gathers all the gang members and takes them to Gi-hun's secret hideout. They begin training with weapons. He learns they are a group of professional mercenaries skilled in combat, ensuring they can help him for the right price. However, Gi-hun feels scared and senses his end is near. He calls his daughter to check on her before starting his plan, but doesn't speak, just listening to her voice before she hangs up, not knowing who called. The next day, Gi-hun goes to the address written on the card, where they take him to participate in the game. It is a masquerade party. The leader's assistant wears a mask and enters with him to stay close. Officer Huang decides to stay in the car, waiting for the right moment to infiltrate the game organizers. Eventually, he reaches the game's head organizers, who are dressed in uniforms and masks. He seizes the opportunity to follow them, but a security guard stops him, forcing him to wait for his turn. Huang realizes he is being tricked and threatens the guard with a gun. Meanwhile, one of the game guards approaches Gi-hun, who has the card, and asks him to come along. The leader's assistant is surprised and tries to follow them, but a guard confronts him and knocks him out to prevent him from tracing them. Gi-hun is taken out of the location and put into a waiting car. Huang learns what happened and asks the gang to track Gi-hun's location. He follows in his car. Gi-hun hears the game manager's voice in the car, who tells him, "I warned you to board the plane and leave, but you didn't listen and decided to stay." Gi-hun asks him to stop the game, accusing him of deceiving people, giving hope to those with no hope in life, only to exploit them. Suddenly, someone shoots at the car from a distance, blowing out its tires. As a result, they cannot move or catch him. Huang realizes it was an ambush, but discovers it was turned against him. His car also breaks down, and he cannot catch up. Gi-hun learns about the ambush and tries to shoot the driver to stop the car, but the car is bulletproof. Feeling frustrated, he puts the gun aside and realizes he cannot stop the game. He asks the manager to let him participate. The manager laughs and says, "Moments ago, you wanted to stop the game, and now you're asking to participate. Fine, I'll grant your request." Gas fills the car. Meanwhile, we see Cyan arriving at the location written on the game card. She enters a cabin to change her clothes. The surprise is that she is not participating as a contestant, but as a soldier. At the same time, Officer Huang takes the leader's assistant and follows the location. Gi-hun wakes up after being taken away and, as usual, receives the same number, 456. Next to him is a woman who tells him, "I feel a lot of negative energy around you. Many spirits are attached to you." He looks around and sees all the players who participated in the competition. Soldiers enter and welcome them, but they are suspicious of him because he is hiding his face. They ask him to remove his mask, but he refuses, citing the rules. They ask for their clothes, belongings, or anything else, to which he replies that everything is safe and they will get it back after completing the game. The prize is $45 billion. One player complains about his shoes, another about the color of the clothes, and a third is shocked to see his mother there. He asks her why she came, and she replies, "I came to pay off your debts." He tells her he came to pay them himself. She says, "Enough excuses. You are putting us in danger." He replies, "Mom, the games here are light and fun." She responds, "Fine, I'll participate with you to win the prize." He says, "You can't. Just go home, relax and sleep, and I'll take the prize and come back to you." The game supervisors get annoyed and start showing videos of each participant with the debts they owe. One owes $4 billion, another $5 billion, and another $10 billion. They are shocked, saying, "Who owes $10 billion? He must be significant in the country." Then, the supervisors introduce them to the pig game and explain that the prize decreases after every game. Among them is player 333, who has a YouTube channel and frequently trades in cryptocurrencies causing many people to lose their money and become indebted. Among them is player 230, who is also in debt and is a famous singer, but unfortunately became indebted because of player 33, as he followed his advice and invested all his money, losing it. He asks him to win the competition so he can repay him afterward. The supervisors then ask them to sign a consent form agreeing to the games. After finishing, they take the iconic photo of each participant and proceed to play the first game. Red light, green light. Meanwhile, Huang and his assistant manage to reach the island with the signal. They explore the island with their drone, but find nothing unusual. They follow the signal further, only to discover a fisherman and a box of worms. The game organizers were aware of their actions and deceived them. Meanwhile, Gi-hun is in the game, feeling reassured that everything is fine and that he can be located. However, he starts to worry, checks the tracking device in his tooth, removes it, and finds it missing. He realizes he's in a predicament and must rely solely on himself. He steps forward as the first to address the group, warning them that losing this time means no second chances. It will be literal gunfire, and they'll die. Everyone stares at him, bewildered, calling him crazy. He explains the game, revealing that the doll has a motion sensor. If anyone moves, the doll will immediately detect it and eliminate them. The doll starts spinning and singing, while the man in the black mask watches with amusement. The timer begins, giving them 5 minutes. Will they reach the red line in time? Gi-hun starts helping them, instructing them when to move and when to stop. The doll spins the first time, and no one dies. Gi-hun gives them further instructions. The doll spins again, and still, no one dies. So far, everything is going smoothly. But unfortunately, a bee lands on a girl's neck, causing panic. Player 230 scares her, and she moves, becoming the first to be eliminated. The girl next to her is horrified and steps back in fear, triggering her elimination. Panic spreads, and everyone starts running, resulting in chaos and mass eliminations. Gi-hun tries to calm them, urging them to stand still, but many continue running and are eliminated. Gi-hun takes control, organizing them into lines so that only the person in front is visible to the doll. It turns out one of the snipers is Sion. Player 230 begins pushing people to their deaths. The participants move cautiously, and the dances mockingly. Meanwhile, Sion notices one of the contestants is an artist who joined to save his daughter at any cost. Eventually, the participants cross the red line, but it was a close call. Thus, the first game ends. Seon cleans her room and leaves, while the participants head to the waiting room, anxious and terrified. They started as 456, but now 91 have been lost. A mother kneels before the supervisors, begging for mercy and release. She asks her son to join her in pleading, and others follow suit, asking to leave. The supervisors remind them that no one is forced to play. They all agreed voluntarily. Gi-hun brings up the third rule, which allows them to leave the game through a vote. They confirm this is their right and bring out a device for voting. Those who want to continue press circle, and those who refuse press X. However, before voting, they show them the prize money, 9 billion, which will be divided among the surviving players. Each participant would receive 24 million. They question if their lives are worth risking for such an amount. The money tempts most participants, but others are too scared and want to leave. The voting begins, starting with player 456, Gi-hun. One by one, they cast their votes. The result is tied at 182 votes. The deciding vote belongs to the oldest player, number 1. He steps forward and, unfortunately, votes to continue the game. This means they can't leave. The shock comes when we see player 1's face. It turns out he is the man in the black mask, the brother of the police officer, who decided to participate this time. The guards move the deceased into coffins, while the surviving participants rest, receiving food and water. Gi-hun, however, is depressed and refuses to eat. Another participant approaches him, urging him to eat to stay strong, and even tries to feed him. When Gi-hun refuses, the participant gives up, saying he'll eat his share. The participant asks if the prize increases when more people die, hoping to clear his debts. Gi-hun gets angry, recalling someone who said the same thing in the previous game and ended up dead. A group of participants asks Gi-hun for help, recognizing his experience. Player 1 pretends to be an ordinary participant, hiding his true identity. They ask about the next game. Gi-hun reluctantly reveals it involves selecting shapes in candy. He advises them to choose the triangle, as it's the easiest. They thank him and ask about the hardest shape. He tells them it's the umbrella. Player 1 jokes about choosing the umbrella, triggering memories for Gi-hun. When he entered for the first time, he was the one who chose the umbrella as well. They start agreeing with each other so that no one tells the rest of the contestants. At that time, some people will die, and the tension will increase. Gi-hun gets angry and tells them that he's helping them to save their lives. They realize from the start and confirm that it's the same game, and the others will find out. One of the contestants goes to tell his mother what he has learned, but doesn't find her in her bed. At that moment, his mother goes to his daughter to give her food because she knows she is pregnant. She feels sympathetic towards her and asks her to call if she feels tired or needs anything. The girl is touched by her words and thanks her, but her son comes and takes her to tell her the information he has learned. Contestant number 1 starts sitting with Gi-hun. He asks him why he participated in the game again, even though he won it once. He says, "You should have a lot of money now." He asks if he joined to gamble on horse racing to finish it. "You must have a lot of money now," he says. Gi-hun replies that the money isn't his right, and it belongs to the contestants who died. That's why he decided not to spend any of it and distribute it to their families. He blames him, saying it was his fault they continued the game. "We were tied, and you were the one who chose for us to continue." But the contestant tells him, "I'm not the only one. Others also chose to continue, and they all chose willingly. If I hadn't been the last, someone else would have chosen." He suggests they form a team to help them, since he's the only one who knows the games and has won them. At that moment, we see the contestant bullying their YouTuber friend, taking his food. He gets angry and fights with them, but they gang up on him and beat him, breaking his bones. Contestant number 1 intervenes and asks them to respect their elders and tells them that what they're doing is bullying. They think he's weak and mock him, warning him to stay away or else they'll make him regret it. Angered by their word, grabbing the bully by the neck and kicking the other, in a matter of seconds, he manages to defeat them and pins them to the ground. He approaches them and warns them that if they cause trouble again, he'll finish them off. They all fear him and apologize. The other contestants are impressed by what he did, clap for him, and thank him. He becomes a hero in their eyes. The first day of the game ends. The guards remove their masks and go to their rooms to rest. Seong washes her face and keeps thinking about the contestant who participated to save his child. She's scared and doesn't want the time to come when he loses, as neither he nor his child will survive. At night, all the contestants sleep, but number 1 goes to talk to Gi-hun. He apologizes for his attitude towards him and decides to tell him his story. He says, "My wife was sick during pregnancy, but she insisted on keeping the baby. When she gave birth, we discovered that my daughter had a serious illness and needed surgery. I had to borrow a lot of money until I became indebted. That's why I participated in the game, paid off my debts, and saved my daughter and wife. I'm willing to do anything to get the money, even if it means carrying the burden of all these people." Gi-hun is moved by his words because he was once in his place, ready to do anything for money and for his daughter. At that moment, we see a group of guards transporting some of the dead contestants. All of this is supposedly behind the game because they take their organs, but they are surprised that they had died a long time ago, and because of that, they can't do anything. They deduce that one of the guards is killing the contestants to prevent them from taking their organs. They call the manager and inform him of their discovery. It turns out he is also involved. They suspect that one of them, number 11, is the one doing this. He is surprised and summons her to talk. He asks her why she's doing this and orders her to follow his instructions without disobeying. But she refuses and says she agreed to participate in the game to relieve people's suffering, not to torture them. She defies the manager, who tells her that they're already dead and they're taking these things to help others. But she doesn't believe his words, refuses to follow his orders, and insists on continuing what she's doing. She leaves him and walks away. The next day, the officer goes to the police station and asks his chief to help him. The game has returned, and they need to stop it and save the people involved. The chief is forced to take him to the commissioner, where he tells